Okay, so I think I referenced cats on the table in a previous session and nobody understood what that was. And so I wasn't insane and I didn't make it up. This is from the internet, which is a very reliable source of information. It says, in Finland is the source of all knowledge and wisdom. In Finland, when we want to have a conversation about a difficult topic, we say, put the cat on the table. This means talking openly and honestly and being vulnerable. All of you being vulnerable. We also put the cat on the table when we want to bring up an issue that may be uncomfortable to talk about, but needs to be discussed. So that's what cat on the table means. And I think we know what elephant in the room means. So we're going to do both cat on the table, we're going to do elephant in the room, and maybe some other metaphors. Does anyone have any in mind? Okay. Our topic today is optimizing the home tech ownership experience. And I characterize this as the crazy ant in the basement. That's a Ross Perot-ism, by the way. He used to talk about the deficit is the crazy ant in the basement, right? And the reality is that over our long history of home technology, we have a history of not having the highest satisfaction rates for home tech. A lot of that is about usage and training and not about the products themselves. Sometimes it's about the products themselves. But what we want to do as builders who are not abdicating, who are owning the experience for the customers along with integrator partners, is we want to give excellent experiences. We want to create raving fans. We're going to be talking about how cool this is, how cool it is that they had it built in by the builder, and they're going to drive more and more customers to you virally, right? So we're going to address that crazy ant with best practices on offers, orientation, training, and support. Joining me here on stage, I won't go in alphabetical order, our star of Tech Home Builders Got Talent, Madison Saab. Let's hear it for her. She was the first to commit. She did the first and last, well, maybe it wasn't the last song. But anyway, Madison did a great job, and she opened the door to a really fun experience last night. Matthew John Oakes, MJO. I thought you were going to sit on the end so that you could show your socks.
You told me to sit here.
Anyway, you're with D.R. Horton in purchasing, and you're local here in Louisville, right?
Yes, sir. I'm out of Indianapolis. I'm the Ohio Valley Regional Purchasing Manager. I oversee 2,500 home closings this year, so yeah. That's
a few.
Yeah.
All right. And who's this guy? This is David Shaw. He's with Safe Haven, which is the integrator partner of D.R. Horton. And David, tell them a little bit about yourself. We don't want to know about the early days of the record business, but a little bit.
You. All right, so good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good? All right, right on. My name is David Shaw. I'm the regional coordinator for Safe Haven in the Builders Division. And we're the trusted partner of D.R. Horton, who's the #1 builder in this country. They're set to, they're on track to build 100,000 homes, new homes this year. And we install all of the automation, and security in every single one of those homes. So it's a real honor to be a D.R. Horton partner, and that's pretty much what I do.
Just so you're noticing, there may be some street theater in this session. I didn't want the last session to be dull. Okay, so we're going to turn the ritual, turn over the clicker to Madison. She's going to walk us through some best practices that Alarm.com is seeing kind of across the broad horizon of your builder and integrator implementers, ways to get to that excellent customer experience. Madison, take it away.
All right, John, thank you. All right, so just to start out, wanted to share some of the trends that we see with builders implementing technology. And I think going back even 4 or 5 years ago when Alarm.com was evaluating builder as kind of a category for us to expand to, we really based our builder program around one of the stats that you see here, that 40% of single-family home buyers actually want a monitored security system. So that is actually twice the national average, which I think is important to note that, across all consumers in the US, typically security is in about 20% of the homes, but within the single family new construction market, it's actually twice that. So we looked at that statistic and really saw the builder channel as a great opportunity for Alarm.com and our service providers. And so from that, we have had the opportunity to implement our services through builder partners like D.R. Horton, and we are finding that more than 40% of home buyers actually end up taking security. It's actually around 55%. So with that in mind, having the flexibility to have a system that is expanding not just with automation, but security is highly important as you're considering technology for your homes. And it's also interesting to note that within the security market, we've heard a lot about DIY versus do it for me and kind of what that means in the marketplace. And I think, DIY, it's definitely created a disruption in the market, and in the better way, it's allowed consumers to really understand what is available to them, which I think has really created a good dynamic in the marketplace of consumers actually demanding technology, expecting it. But the DIY market actually only represents 7% of the security market today, which I think is interesting. And so as you're thinking about smart home implementation, which could include security for home buyers, really looking at the approach of the do-it-for-me segment, which plays right into Safe Haven, and they're going to highlight some of the things and training and stuff that they do to really create that excellent experience for D.R. Horton home buyers and other builders across the country as well.
So Madison, before you were born, and I was starting in the security industry with the international security conferences, I studied a lot of these stats. And it was like, oh, DIY is going to take over the professionally installed side of things. And it was 2% of the market. And now we're 30 years later at 7%. So let's keep that in mind. You see a lot of things on television commercials. There's a lot of loose talk around it, but we're still at 7%, just 7% of the market that's DIY.
Exactly. And I think what really resonates with consumers around DIY is more of the purchasing experience. It's having the transparency in pricing. It's being able to buy something really seamlessly and easily online, which I think there's still some progress to be made within the security industry to really make that possible and more seamless. But once they actually receive those products, they're finding that they don't really want that DIY experience from that point on. They really want that do it for me to make sure that everything's working as it should, especially with security and you're protecting your loved ones in your home, and that's obviously really important.
Right.
And so we're also seeing smart homes expand. Today there was a recent survey that was done that the average broadband household has 13 connected devices. And in just 3 years' time, that number is expected to be 20%. So as these systems continue to expand, I think that's even more important to consider that do-it-for-me service as really making sure that all of these devices can communicate seamlessly together instead of having 5 or 6, potentially even 20 different apps to control all these devices in your home. Really creating a smarter home experience where all of these devices communicate together, and then through AI or rules or schedules or things like that, you can really create a smart home experience that just kind of happens very seamlessly and provides more convenience for those home buyers. And ultimately, we're finding that those who do opt into having a professional installation for smart home services end up being very satisfied with that experience. And why this is important for builders is ultimately, you're providing a smart home experience, and you want that to positively impact your Net Promoter Score and what home buyers are feeling about their technology system. It's not just about providing your buyers a box of equipment and leaving them to their own devices. It's really about creating that positive experience that reflects positively back on you as a builder as well. So to get into some of those best practices and things that John was talking about, Alarm.com has, in our 22-year history, just to kind of take it back from when we started, we were founded in the year 2000, right around that .com era. We were founded or spun off of a company called MicroStrategy in Northern Virginia, which was a data mining company. So data's been very much at our core in the last 22 years. And we've really looked at that data and how we can use it and aggregate it to allow our service provider partners, our builder partners to make more informed business decisions. And so one of our areas of focus was how can we use this data to figure out how to allow our service providers to create more quality accounts. And it really boiled down to the 6 different things that you see here on the screen, which we call our 6 best practices. And these are things that we provide data to our service providers around and hold them really accountable for setting up these things to create those quality accounts.
Let me just stop you for 1 second.
Sure.
So we talked a lot about this the design piece, the being purposeful on the product offer piece, but now we're at the point where the homeowner's about to take custody of the system. Mm-hmm. And so how do we make that a positive experience? How does that custody, turn into an excellent experience? Mm-hmm. And this is your stuff, yeah?
Yep, absolutely. Okay. So to dig into what each of these are, we want to make sure that homeowners are engaged with their system. They know how to use it. They've got kind of the core components set up during like a white glove or something like that to ultimately set them up for success. And so to start with the first actual 2 best practices, which are verified email and mobile contact. So if you think about how you are becoming aware of activity and things that are going on at your property, being notified about things through email and through your mobile device are the 2 main ways that you're probably going to be notified about activity that's happening while you're away from home. So having an email that is verified, that is a legitimate email, is one of those steps, and then adding a mobile contact is that second one so that we can send push notifications or texts directly to that mobile device.
So tell me what, verified email means what? That the homeowner is aware that you're going to be emailing them information and accepts that and provides a permission? Or, what if they don't respond to your push email? Do you guys call behind that and try to get it solidified? Or I know it's not you. Mm-hmm. It could be the service provider like Safe Haven or an ADT, but explain it a little bit better.
Definitely.
Yeah, so whenever a customer is brought on with us, they have an initial welcome email that's sent out to them, and it has a link within that email that they can click on, which then verifies that email address is legitimate. If they don't actually go through that process, I'll show you here in a couple of slides, we have additional campaigns that can be sent to the customer that the service provider will opt into to ultimately get that email verified, or they can take other measures separately that maybe David will go into as well.
Yeah, so we got to have the intent of actually getting the permission for the connection, right? It's like a lot of times we do marketing, it's like, well, I sent or any kind of outreach, well, I sent the email and they didn't respond. Mm-hmm. But you guys have a whole set of processes in place to make sure that the email connection is going to be a solid line of communication. Correct. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Third is an arming reminder. Now, this is specific for those customers that have security as part of their account. But the whole point of having a security system is to make sure that it is working and that it is actually armed when it needs to be armed. So we have notifications or reminders that can be set up. You set it up one time, and then from there on, if your system isn't armed after a certain time that you set, it will send you a reminder so that you can proactively go in and arm that system.
Can I say something as well?
Yeah.
We also utilize their information if there's any ADC issues. We get those issues in real time on our track system. So we know what's going on in real time with the customers, with the model homes, and we can address those issues immediately, which is part of the white glove experience in our customer service. So
absolutely.
What's an AEC issue?
That would be a alarm.com, if they're not,
Oh,
armed.
ADC.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's all right. If they're not like
Middle-aged
arming
male
their
ears, okay.
system, or if there's even a battery that's low in the door lock. A lot of times, I spend a lot of time on the road visiting the models, and I'll replace door lock, the batteries in the doors or whatever, if there's simple issues like that, or learn stuff back into the systems. But anyways.
Yeah, that's a great point, David. Like providing those trouble conditions, not just to our service providers, but they also show up, that the customer can identify that that's a trouble condition on their account, and hopefully resolve that either through self methods that I'll kind of go through here, or contacting their service provider, and you guys can walk them through, or if you need to go on site, you can obviously do that as well.
For sure.
So ADC is an acronym for
Alarm.com.
alarm.com.
I didn't get that at first
It's
either.
kind of
I'm
an
like, what the heck's
industry
ADT?
insider
Is that
thing.
like ADT with
So, it's 9 characters, but that's too much. We got to get it down to 3. Okay, keep going.
All right, alarm.com Places, which is kind of an updated name for what used to be our geo services, which is essentially just creating a virtual fence around your property so that as you come and go, you can have either reminders trigger or even automation. So a great example is, how many times have you driven away from your house and thought to yourself, did I remember to close the garage door? And so by having these alarm.com Places set up, as you drive away from your home, it can detect that your garage door is open and send you that notification letting you know that, so that you can then close it.
So how do we get them to use that feature?
It's as simple as these 6 best practices. It's a part of account creation. So as they're doing that white glove appointment, all of these things are hopefully being set up during that point, so that it's just, automatically they're getting that notification.
It's actual best practices in an orientation session. It's like, let's set it up.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is one of the keys on learning, is you don't just tell somebody and expect they're going to do it. For all of us in all facets of our lives, if you are there helping them do it the first time, then we got a chance of it actually being done, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
They can ensure it's being set up correctly and that it's actually being set up.
Cool.
The next one is adding an advanced device to a customer account. So how alarm.com defines advanced devices is anything outside of just the security realm. And so one of the great things is with builders, we're seeing that they're standardizing on advanced devices already. So that's just a great way for buyers to be even more engaged with their accounts. We find through our data that the magic number is 3 devices. So if buyers have 3 advanced devices attached to their account, then they're much more likely to continue using that app, using that service.
So let's define advanced devices, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're advanced devices to alarm.com, but what product category names would you give them?
It could be anything from video, so that could be cameras or even a video doorbell. It could be automation devices, whether that's locks, lights, thermostats, garage door. And alarm.com supports a ton of different devices and product categories, so it could be any one of those outside of the security realm.
So it's well beyond just the security piece. It could be lighting. It can be convenience type features or energy saving features, et cetera.
Yep.
Okay.
And then lastly, with those advanced devices, setting up a rule or schedule to help automate it. And a great example, I've got, my house is practically a demo house for alarm.com. I've got so much stuff set up on it. But as I walk up to my front door, I've got it set up so that my doorbell can detect that I'm walking up to my front door. We've got person detection, AI, built into the doorbell to be able to do that. And once it detects me walking up to my front door, it automatically will trigger a rule so that my front porch lights turn on.
Right.
And so this is great to maybe deter someone that shouldn't be coming up to my front door, but also adds convenience for me so that I'm not coming into a dark house.
But how do we get somebody who doesn't work from alarm.com to dive deeper into that functionality and set up a menu like this? I mean, is this a geeks only feature that gets used, or how do we get non-geeks to do this?
It's definitely not a geeks only feature. By having it a best practice to set up one rule, then that's kind of getting them started and adding that, kind of hopefully turning on the light bulb for the customer. So they can at least know how to do it and really experience that convenience. But then from there, one of the great things about Alarm.com is that it's truly a mass solution that is easy to use, whether you're 18 years old or 80 years old. It's an easy to use system that definitely you don't have to be a tech expert to figure out.
So it could be during an orientation session that a rule or schedule is set up?
Yep, absolutely. I know we'll be talking a bit about the white glove experience. So all of these things are items that really should be part of that white glove experience that are being walked through with the home buyer.
So I just, folks in the room, builders in the room, I don't know whether you appreciate this or not, but when these folks are trying to sell you stuff, they tend to be at a high level conceptual, because you don't want, they think you don't want to hear the detail. And I know you don't, and I know you don't have enough time to tell them the detail, but you should understand that what's below these concepts, right? And so when we say white glove service, it's like, that sounds good, but what the heck is it, right? And I think you've walked us through some of the characteristics of a white, or the action items in a white glove service that actually result in usage and connection.
Absolutely.
So, anyway.
And the last thing I want to highlight, when I kind of introduce these 6 best practices, really the goal is to create a customer or a user that is going to be more engaged with their system, which ultimately, they're seeing value from it, and ultimately that's going to reflect positively back on you as the builder for selecting that system and working with the integrator to make sure that these things are being properly set up. But we're finding that throughout the lifetime of the account, these individuals who have these 6 best practices are more likely to become what we call super users, which that means they're more likely to retain those services for longer in terms of their lifetime value. And then we're providing a lot of this data back to our service providers. This is just a quick example of our business health report that we provide our service providers on a monthly basis, so they can really see a high-level summary of how they're doing with those 6 best practices. Are their technicians setting them up? Can they hold their technicians accountable for doing the right thing? And they can obviously, our service providers can drill down and identify other key trends, not just on a monthly basis, but on a real-time basis through data we provide as well.
So you're owning this with your integrator. You're owning this customer experience with your integrator. Are you asking them about whether they're using tool sets like this to assess the account health? So they're going to think about it, or maybe they think about it from an attrition and a dollars perspective, but you're thinking about it from a user experience perspective, right? And it's great that they have a financial incentive tied to it, because then they will actually care about it. But it's a question to ask. Are you utilizing information and reports like this to understand account health and understand whether what we're doing for these homeowners is actually activating them and giving them a high quality experience, right?
Yep, exactly. And so then thinking about over the lifetime of a customer, how we can continue to stay engaged with them. So Alarm.com has created a ton of different marketing resources that we provide to our service providers that allows them to stay engaged with those customers, whether it's just initially and really throughout the life cycle. So for new customers, we have email series like the ones you're seeing here, where we're sending them that welcome series, making sure that they're engaged with their account, verifying their email. As I mentioned, like if they didn't go through and actually click the button to email or verify their email initially, going through and hopefully getting them set up later on. And then as we kind of think through the life cycle of that customer, going into some of those troubleshooting things, like David, you were talking about with the trouble conditions, we can identify if there's an issue on the account and, provide steps for that home buyer to, be self-sufficient and maybe handle that on their own, or if they need to contact their service provider, it's very easy for them to do that as well. And then, Alarm.com, we're super fortunate in that because we're a platform, we're constantly looking at how we can continue to improve that platform with new features, new functionality. So every single week, we push down new updates to all of our customer base. And so we try to keep our customers up to speed on those changes through quarterly e-newsletters and things like that, so they can continue to see how the value of their system's changing over time. And then lastly, going back to system expansion, buyers are adding more and more devices every single day into their homes. And so how can they know that the system that they have today and the core set of devices can be expanded into other categories? And a lot of that is through feature suggestions, which we have through the Alarm.com app, or actual what we call in-app upsell cards through the app that can be enabled by our service providers, just so that if they're looking at other features, they know that those features can possibly also be added through the system that they already have in their home, so that they can continue that one app experience as opposed to introducing a separate app later on.
So just one small point here from the English major at the table. It's just like language is really important, because we've got a language that we exchange between integrators, manufacturers, and builders, and it's like upsell, right? But you don't want to tell somebody that you're upselling them on the consumer-facing message. So they're add-ons and expansions. They're not upsells. They don't want to know that you're selling them something. So let's just be careful, because we have a lot of language that is trade level, and sometimes it bleeds into the consumer level messaging, and we're shooting ourselves in the foot when we do that.
Yep.
Right.
And then lastly, I wanted to just share, because we've been talking about, how buyers can enhance their system over time through self-management, whether that is adding new devices themselves. We've made it even easier to allow buyers to expand those systems through things like Smart Start, which is essentially as simple as scanning a QR code on a device and adding it into their system to expand that ecosystem, or self-troubleshooting through videos, or kind of first steps that we can provide those buyers on how to resolve issues without necessarily needing to call their service provider. So we're continuing to enhance these tools and things over time to ultimately further enhance that customer experience and really put them in the driver's seat.
Yeah. So what a lineup of communications, customer communications, right? Like, because when we talk about, try to get this message to the manufacturer, you guys get it, right? Not every manufacturer does. It's like your features and benefits of your product are great, but if you don't have the process supports, some of that's on the sales and marketing end. It's making the upfront sale or being part of a robustly sold option. So are you providing those assets? But then there's a customer care piece, and some of that's about direct delivery of care, but a lot of it's about communications like this. And so that's a great line. That's an exemplary lineup of communications that Alarm.com has developed and is refining on an ongoing basis. And you got to think about your relationships and whether that same sort of quality of communication is happening post-installation to keep the users engaged with their system and realizing value from it. So I think we've reached the end of your segment. So thank you.
Are we done?
So much.
You did
Yeah,
a good job.
I think that earns so much.
Way to go, Madison. We're so proud of you.
Now can you sing something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So we're moving into the D.R. Horton and Safe Haven realm. And $20 for Madison, okay. So I think we're going to kick off actually with a video. So you can all understand what the goals for D.R. Horton were on this relationship and on this package delivery to their home buyers. Can we tee that up, Lord willing?
At D.R. Horton, we're always focused on delivering the best value, regardless of brand and regardless of price point. Smart home technology is the latest thing that really is just going to enable our customers to have an easier way of life.
We wanted to ensure that this ecosystem of products were all going to work together to have a better home experience for our consumers. And that's what America's Builder is all about.
D.R. Horton is launching a smart home technology package for all of our homes that we're building nationwide. It's called Home is Connected.
We wanted to make sure that the products that we selected were going to work for you. We wanted to make sure that the way you live your life, the way you wanted to control your home, that no matter what we put in here, it was going to have to meet that need, which is you.
Smart home really is about things just happen. It's not necessarily just a series of clicking buttons and making things then happen. Actually being a smart home is things happening on their own.
It was all about the automation. It was all about the things that were going to be able to be delivered to our consumer in a way that they were going to be able to simply and intuitively use in their home.
So when you are leaving the house, you can have a scene execute that will lock your front door, turn off your lights, adjust your thermostat, all without having to think about it. It's this concept of bringing smart home technology together, connecting it all to itself, but also to our homeowners as well.
The heartbeat of it all is the Alarm.com software platform. It's a beautiful, simple software that's going to live on your smartphone, tablet, or your PC to be able to control your home is connected ecosystem.
So that you can engage with your home, whether you're sitting on the couch in your living room or you're 500 miles away, you're always connected to your home. You're able to control and monitor what means most to you.
So with each component of the package, we actually wanted to make sure that what are the homeowners touching? What are they actually using on a day-to-day basis? Not what's, just real attractive and a real cool gadget that does this real cool thing. We kind of jokingly call that the Christmas morning effect, right? Where it's this real cool thing and you play with it one time and then you never touch it again.
Today it's all about different forms of control. Everyone has their preference. Some people want things to just automatically happen. Other people want to be able to look at their smartphone and make it happen. And some like to use their voice. You can expand this system on your own very, very simply and very affordably and very easily.
If they do decide to go and buy a bunch of Wi-Fi devices, we speak that. If they go and decide to buy a bunch of Z-Wave devices, we speak that as well.
We've talked a lot about the products and the research that we went through and the testing and everything else. But what was absolutely driving us through all of this was you, the consumer.
We're so fortunate every day, though, that we're working to be able to put houses on the ground that people can afford and can have a place to live with their family. But who's better to create America's smart home than America's Builder?
Very cool video. One of your major spokesmen there was your director of investor relations, which I think is interesting.
Yeah.
So D.R. Horton evidently feels like their technology play is important to the investment analysts and such out there too, in terms of the future prospects for your business. Let's start with a little discussion, Dave, about Safe Haven, because you're the service provider here. Then we'll dig in on D.R. Horton.
First of all, I love the Alarm.com, how everything in the house, every single automated feature, security, the new decode lighting, how you can control that from one app. It's a huge selling point because, there's numerous apps. People, they walk out of the house, they don't want to have to open up the garage door app and close that. And then, the security, open that up and close that. And then the lighting, open that up and close that. This takes everything, it consolidates everything onto one app. It's so easy to use. I love the geofencing. They're paying me up here. Anyways, it's a big selling point for the sales agents that I meet with out in the field. You don't see that happening I don't think anybody else is really utilizing that, too much as far as, that's concerned. Anyways, Safe Haven.
So tell us about Safe Haven, because good cross promotion there. I like that.
Yeah.
But
I actually really love it.
But we talked a lot in the morning session. I don't know if you were here about an integration company having the appropriate scale to do work with. Now, in this case, this is America's biggest builder in terms of units, built.
Right.
And like all integrators aren't created equal, right? Tell them about scale and scope with Safe Haven.
Well, I mean, Mr. Horton wanted to have a company that not only installed every feature, automation, security, lighting in their house, but he wanted a company that would also service those features in the customer. But most importantly, he wanted a company that would train and teach the customer how to utilize the system, and then have a white glove concierge team that is always on call if there are any issues whatsoever, that the customer or an agent or anybody can contact to talk to somebody, a live person who can, troubleshoot, maybe help them figure that out on the spot, or we'll get a tech out there immediately. And we have so many techs out in the field. I mean, we really follow the D.R. Horton footprint. We have over 1,200 techs that cover all the D.R. Horton territories. So a lot of times we can actually get a tech out there that day to take advantage, of that situation and help out the customer or help out a model home, which is extremely important because if you walk into a model home, if you're a customer and the automation doesn't work, that doesn't do a great job, getting that house sold with the automation. So
Dave, you've got 175 individuals here who are matrixed or dedicated to supporting the DR Horton account. And then on top of that, we've got ADT Monitoring Center personnel that are involved in account servicing and management as well.
Yep, so we have a concierge team, as I had already mentioned, and we have 175 individuals who are just there day and night, 24/6, because they take Sundays off. But they're answering emails, they're setting up tech appointments when a customer calls or an agent calls or I call to bug them. I'm also part of that too, because a lot of times I'll tell the sales agent, hey, if there's a real problem, have the customer call me. Well, that's happening a lot now. So getting a lot of those calls, but I'm referring them to an 877 number for the concierge team. A lot of times I'll call a tech to get in, and the concierge team will work out getting one of our techs in the field out there. Yeah. So it's pretty cool.
So in addition to the marketing communication automations, I'm assuming that's not individuals sending out individual emails, but we got the marcom automations, and then we've got human beings too.
Right.
Able to answer questions on the phone or call out or in a monitoring center when the account gets deeper into its life cycle. So there's, multi-channel, multi-mode sort of communications around the customer support.
Absolutely, it's so important to have that lifeline for the customer. Simple questions like, hey, how do I get my Alexa Dot, back on Wi-Fi, or how do we get that back into the system? So I can say, hey Alexa, can you, turn the temperature down on the thermos? Or, hey, Alexa, unlock the front door. Those are the part of the system that, hey, there might be some small issues, but they can take care of that right away just by calling the concierge line.
Cool. All right, I think we got a sense of scope and activities. Let's start at the beginning, actually, because when we first started talking about this session, one of the things that we talked about was the selection of the products, and the crafting of the order of the offer was really important to getting to a positive, excellent experience for the customer. So can you guys walk us through
Sure.
why you selected what you selected here?
Part of this was just simplicity. I mean, these are all things that can grow with the customer. Their house can be smart at the beginning, and then they can grow with it with different devices. For us, it was the ability to be scalable. I mean, 100,000 homes, it's a lot, so we need products that we can actually scale and know that we're going to get them and actually can control that supply chain issue. So most of those products are all simple products to get. They're scalable. We can actually expand that with the customer. And Dave didn't mention this, but one of the things you talk about, the white glove services, when we close a house, within 2 days, Safe Haven is in that house with that customer, not only just the white glove side of it, but teaching them everything about one of these products. It's a continual process for them. Dave's team is continuously learning, teaching themselves, retraining, everything. And that white glove service right there with these products is so important to us because it allows that customer to feel like, hey, I've got a touch point with Safe Haven. I know what they can call them at any given time. They're going to be out there to help me. And that initial conversation with Safe Haven is so important, and it happens within 2 days of closing. So it's a great partnership with Safe Haven and with Alarm.com.
And your sales agents are kind of setting up that with their advanced communications, what's going to happen
Absolutely,
in the
yes.
experience
Yeah.
chain here? Yeah.
It is a process for our sales team to know exactly what's happening. They're in contact with Dave and his team all the time. Dave's team does a great job having conversations with our sales team continuously.
So on the product side of things, all of this is part of the standard offer?
Absolutely. One of the things that's not on there is the garage door opener that we put in as
So
a
it's
standard.
part of the standard now?
Yes.
Okay. And we've got a single light switch, but an ability to upgrade to multiple iDevice light
Absolutely.
switches,
So
is that right?
one of the things that we do in all of our houses now is the Deco switch. It's a plug-and-play switch, and they have the smart switches, and it just pop it out, pop it in. And so we have packages, very simple packages that we can offer that customer that will be put in by Safe Haven post-close.
Okay.
And it allows them to expand and have the experience of, hey, I want scenes. I want to be able to walk into my pantry and have a motion sensor come on and lights come on. So those are all options that we offer.
Where does the standard switch go? Is it at the foyer on the
Typically,
entry?
it's the front
Usually
door.
it's in the foyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And the Safe Haven guys are doing the installation work on the line
They are.
voltage stuff. Nice.
Well, we're not doing the electrical part of that. That's all DR Horton and
Yeah,
their
okay.
construction crew. But we come in there and we install the Qualsys panel. We install the Sky Bell, the Echo or the Show 5, depending on what region or part of the country you're in. The quick set lock is already put in there by the construction crew, the thermostat, and again, we put the smart switch in and then the smart plug. But the Qualsys panel is awesome. It's really the brainchild, is the central hub for everything.
Gotcha. So is monitoring and maintenance, is there an agreement that's part of the initial transaction, and how long does that last?
Monitoring and maintenance, well, are you talking about Alarm.com?
I'm just talking about support,
I mean, it's there for the life of the home.
But is the service included in the standard offer? Or
Yes.
For how long is that?
Well, when the customer first gets into their house and when they close, they have Alarm.com for free for 3 years in a trial period, 36 months, and then after that there's a small fee if they choose to keep on. Most do because it's awesome. But for 1 year, we warranty all the parts, and services, and then after that they can utilize our concierge team, for as long as they utilize the Alarm.com, and if they upgrade to security, then they can use that as long as they use ADT.
So monitoring, security monitoring is an upgrade.
Yes.
Yes, it is, absolutely, yep.
And what kind of, are you guys getting a good take rate on the monitoring upgrade?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. It's a lot of customers actually think of ADT monitoring as a utility. Before they even get into their house, they'll turn the gas on, they'll turn the electricity on, and they'll turn on security because they consider that a utility. And then 50% afterwards will sign up and get that service. So there's a lot of ADT signs in the D.R. Horton communities.
So did I hear the concierge service is for life, or is it it's within just that 3-year Alarm.com window?
If they don't upgrade to ADT and the security, then it is for that 3-year period. Okay. If they choose not to use Alarm.com anymore, then they can't use the concierge team.
How do we keep the communications of these offers straight? Right? It's like there's multiple touch points with the
Absolutely.
consumer.
Yep.
In the sales process, then they're starting, and is the language all unified? How do we? I'm sure it's a challenge, right? I'm sure that
it is.
You've got human beings delivering messages. There's going to be some things that go off the rails now and then. But what kind of quality
Absolutely.
control do you have to manage expectations and communications around those offers?
Right on. Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. It's you've got human fallibility. I always tell the sales agents, I said, you're here to sell houses, all right? This is what you do. Know a few key points about this, understand, the process, but you don't have to know everything. Don't run through the whole thing with your customer. That's why we have a concierge team who will contact your customers 3 weeks before closing. They'll talk to them. There's no arm twisting. They'll introduce the concepts of ADT, getting security. A lot of people will sign up right there and then. But as far as the sales agents are concerned, that's my life. I literally spend 4 days a week on the road, pretty much all year long, visiting all these subdivisions for D.R. Horton, meeting with sales agents, training them, re-educating the new ones, doing sales presentations, meeting with the sales managers,
Hey, Dave,
with the mats.
We're running out of time, so I just want to drill down a little bit on your orientation session.
Sure.
So how long is it?
Are you saying, okay, so...
When you do your initial orientation, you
with
get
the
into
tech?
the house, post-close.
Sure. Okay, so post-close, after the tech's set up to come into the house, they'll generally spend, 3 hours or more. They will set up all the equipment, if they got the, obviously the Alarm.com, the basic package. If they got security, they'll put all the cameras in. Deco too. They learn everything into the Qualsys panel, so everything is in that central hub, which gets connected with Alarm.com. So it takes a while. One point I want to reiterate again and again and again is how important it is to educate the homeowner. If you don't educate them, they're not going to utilize the system. If they don't have a concierge team to reach out to that is very easy to do, then they're not going to utilize the system. All that is there, all that is in play, and the tech will actually sit down, they'll teach them how to use the system, they'll set up the Alarm.com software app, and they'll go from there. They do an exceptional job. If for some reason the customer, because let's face it, everybody's not tech savvy, they're going to forget things, well, again, they can call the concierge team at any time and get the information they need, or if they need to, the tech will come back out and explain things to them.
And Dave, there's outbound from the concierge, calls from the concierge
Yes.
team when you're looking over your reports from Madison and Company, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we get the information on closings from Madison's team.
ADC.
Yep, from
Yeah.
ADC. So we know exactly when, pretty much exactly. I mean, there's always times when, a closing will get pushed back. But we know exactly when that's going to happen. Our concierge department generally reaches out to the homeowner 3 weeks prior to their closing. They'll set up a date for the tech to come out. We also let them know that they're going to need Wi-Fi for the basic package, not for security. But that's when they set up the appointment and get our tech team out.
Very cool. All right, we got to give Madison her chance for her Alarm.com commercial, as if it hasn't been enough of a commercial already. But
I mean, it's good stuff. I mean,
yeah,
it really is.
there's in our process guide that we're working on, we have some. We're going to touch on some ideas for getting the training and support stuff right, and that you guys can kick around. It's a straw man. And with that, let's go to Madison for her part.
All right, thanks, John.
Yep.
Are you going to walk over there?
I guess I am.
Take the cat with you.
All right, take my cat. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. John, really appreciate the opportunity to be on the panel and do this presentation. I want to just elaborate a little bit more on Alarm.com and how we're really the platform for smarter homes. And so just to, we talked a little bit about who Alarm.com is already, but know that we are really the largest platform for connected devices that exists today. We have over 8.4 million subscribers globally, and really all of our services are implemented through our service provider network, through large nationals like Safe Haven, and also local and regional dealers that do a great job within their areas as well. We have almost 11,000 of those providers across the country, and we've expanded into over 40 countries today as well. And so as we're thinking about smart home and really how you're evaluating smart home technology to put into your homes, I think it's really important to think about ultimately how that's going to impact your home buyer and how they can feel comfortable with those smart home services, whether it's from a data privacy and security standpoint or just expansion of their system over time. From Alarm.com's perspective, these are really three key pillars of our success with our builder program is that data privacy and security. We are SOC 2 compliant and really take data security very seriously, so you can feel comfortable that with technology that you're putting in your homes, that you're ultimately doing right by your home buyers by putting in a system that is safe and secure, and also that takes customers' data privacy into mind. We've always had a very strong stance around data privacy as well, and have never used consumer data or sold it or used it for other purposes. It's all really aggregated together, as we were showing earlier, and allowing our service providers to make better business decisions. And then as we think about smart home technology, one of the themes that I've seen over and over in a lot of the sessions that we've had this week is really buyers are coming to expect smart home technology, specifically within the new construction market. And so we know that we need to be putting it into our homes. It's become an expectation, but there is a real benefit for you as a builder in doing this as well. We're finding that on average, smart homes are actually selling faster, which I know we've had the luxury in the last 2 years that really hasn't been a problem. But as the market does normalize and interest rates continue to go up, it's important to think proactively about how you can differentiate your homes or meet buyers' expectations. And one of those key areas is through smart home technology. Secondly, is we are seeing real value being attached to smart home devices. So this allows builders to increase your margins. You can actually increase the home price anywhere between 3 and 21%, depending on the technology that you're including as a standard. And as you're thinking about technology, my main takeaway I hope that you can have from this presentation is how to really define a smart home. And so for us, really a smart home is not one that comes with 5 or 6 different apps. You've got one for your locks, a separate one for your lights, maybe another one for your security system. A true smarter home is one that combines all of these devices under a single app, so that your buyers can really have more value out of these devices because they're all communicating together. So, going back to some of the examples that we were talking about on the panel where, coming home, my lights are automatically automatically turning on. I've got a door lock I can enter my code into, and it knows my home, so it's adjusting my thermostat. You know, having these things just proactively happen is really how you can create a smarter home experience for your buyers that ultimately they're going to enjoy and want to have for many years to come. And Alarm.com, you know, we've had a long 22-year history, and you know, our company name, Alarm.com, definitely screams security. That's absolutely where we got our start, but over the last 22 years, we've become that comprehensive builder platform. So we'll talk a little bit more about intelligent automation and all of those components and devices that you can bring into the home. We also have video monitoring. We have an entire commercial division with commercial access control, and even wellness, looking at the overall well-being of the individuals in the homes, particularly older adults, and allowing them to remain independent in their homes for longer, which can be a huge differentiator if you're building age-targeted types of communities. And we really wouldn't be the platform that we are today without partnerships. We partner with best-in-class ecosystem manufacturers, a ton of which are at this event this week, so it's been great to connect with all of them. But within each device category, we like to have multiple options, and we continue to expand that ecosystem with feedback from our builders as well as our service providers on really who needs to be that next manufacturer or product that's integrated into our ecosystem. Our team, our strategic sales team at Alarm.com has had the great privilege of having a great relationship with our product team, and we provide all of that feedback directly to them. And really just in the last year, our team has been solely responsible for about 30% of the product integrations that Alarm.com has brought into our ecosystem. And we've talked about this a little bit already, but as you're thinking about technology that you're putting in the home, taking into account of having a solution or a platform that is scalable to fit your buyer's needs is truly important. And we do see that quite a few buyers, actually more than 40% is actually 55% for builders that standardize on Alarm.com for smart home technology actually want security. So keeping this in mind and standardizing on a solution that has the ability to add in things like security or video or other components is really important in terms of the longevity of the value that they're going to see from their system. And so really quickly, I want to just take you through kind of the life cycle of our builder program and how you can ultimately implement our services within your communities. So starting with the pre-close side, because we want you not only to be able to sell homes as smart and provide value to your buyers, but have value while you're actually constructing and selling the homes as well. So to start, our community management services, think of this as an enterprise dashboard that you can utilize to really control or monitor the activity across your whole portfolio of homes. So whether that is your model homes or even vacant spec homes, you can have a single dashboard to really have insight of who's coming and going in those homes, create energy efficient schedules to minimize electricity or heating and cooling that's happening in those homes. So we're really seeing this be a huge benefit to builders. And one of the key things I do want to highlight here too is the reason we're able to provide a lot of these services is because we kind of have a cellular first approach. We definitely integrate with a lot of Wi-Fi devices, but the core components for security and even door locks, Z-Wave door locks, Z-Wave thermostats, all of those can be controlled in the home without there needing to be Wi-Fi, so you can really take advantage of these services and add value to your business as well. And as you're selling these homes, self-guided tours has been really accelerated in the builder space. It was obviously driven a lot by the pandemic and out of necessity, but we're really seeing this be a huge trend within the builder space. And if you were here on Tuesday and saw Tom Nelson when he was a panelist, he was talking about builders creating new business models around self-guided tours. Taylor Morrison in their Venture series is a great example of that, where they're adopting a completely new business model where they're not staffing communities. They're actually just allowing sales agents to meet with buyers by appointment and utilizing self-guided tours as the primary driver of traffic through those homes. That's a great concept, and I think we're going to see more of that in the next few years. And so our integration with self-guided tour solutions like UTour allow you to utilize the same equipment in the home for self-guided tours and then leave that in the home for that smart home solution that you're providing your home buyers as well. And we talked a little bit about the free automation service that Alarm.com provides the homeowners to have that one app experience. So home buyers can have 3 years of a core selection of Alarm.com services at no cost, which is great to allow your home buyers to really get their feet wet with smart home technology without locking them into any type of subscription services. And we're continuing to expand our strategy over time. One of the key areas of focus for us this year and definitely in the years to come is around energy management. So we've started that strategy with incorporating solar into our solution. We have already become integrated with inverters from SolarEdge and microinverters from Enphase so that home buyers can see the solar production of their solar panels in their Alarm.com app and see the trend of how much production they've had in the last day, week, month, or even year. And this is really just the starting point for us. We're continuing to evaluate things like EV and battery, even smart utility panels, and how you can really create a whole home energy strategy as part of your Alarm.com solution as well. And then lastly, just want to wrap this up with, smart home technology. It sounds and can feel overwhelming and complicated, but it absolutely doesn't have to be. It can be very seamless and easy. And really where all of that starts is picking a platform. And so once you've done that, you can work with that platform, hopefully Alarm.com, to really figure out what are those core devices that you're wanting to include as a standard in your home and making sure that they're compatible with that platform. And then use your existing subs or trades to install those devices during the construction period. Our integrators get involved after those devices have been installed to really pair everything together to create that one app experience that you can begin taking advantage of pre-close through community management and self-guided tours like I'd mentioned. And then ultimately, whenever that home is sold, having that really positive white glove experience for that buyer, setting them up for success. If they want to add on additional services like security or video, it's a great opportunity for them to do that through that one app experience. And then make sure that they're also set up for post-close support through that service provider that provides support as long as that home buyer has an account with Alarm.com, and Alarm.com is also working with our builder partners behind the scenes on implementation of that program through our project management resources and marketing resources. So it's really just creating a program that is super easy to implement, and we've got all the right tools and things to be able to help you with that. So if you have any questions about some of the things that you've seen here, please stop by our booth 501 on the trade show floor and be happy to chat with you more about any of the things that you saw here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.